480 BC, at a narrow mountain pass called Thermopylae, the land itself became a weapon. It squeezed armies into a single, suffocating throat, and this is where the Spartans decided who would control fear itself. On one side stood Xerxes, the absolute ruler of the Persian Empire, a man commanding a military force so vast it stretched across continents. On the other stood King Leonidas of Sparta, with just 300 of his elite warriors and a small contingent of allied Greeks. Their goal was not victory in the traditional sense. They were here to delay the world. So, why this specific battlefield? Why Thermopylae? King Leonidas didn't just stumble upon this location. He chose it with cold, hard calculation. The pass, known as the Hot Gates, was so narrow that it rendered Persia's overwhelming numbers almost completely useless. An army of hundreds of thousands was forced to fight as if it were an army of a few hundred. Their famed cavalry, the pride of the empire, was trapped and ineffective. Their archers, who could darken the sky with arrows, had limited lines of sight. In this tightly confined space, chaos favored discipline. This wasn't just an act of bravery, it was mathematics. When the first wave of Persian infantry finally charged, they expected the small Greek force to break and scatter. Instead, they slammed into a wall. A living, breathing wall of bronze and muscle. This was the phalanx. Shields locked together, creating an impenetrable barrier. 8-foot-long spears thrust forward in a deadly, unified rhythm. Every Spartan moved as a single organism, a perfectly synchronized machine of war. When a man in the front rank fell, he was instantly replaced from the line behind him. The formation did not flinch. The Persians quickly realized they weren't fighting individual warriors. They were fighting a structure. But the Spartans' most unnerving weapon wasn't their spears or their shields. It was silence. Between the relentless waves of attacks, as the Persians regrouped, something strange and deeply unsettling happened on the Greek side. The Spartans were calm. There was no shouting, no battle cries, no visible rage. Instead, they would methodically comb their long hair. They would carefully inspect and adjust their armor. This wasn't just some ancient tradition. It was sophisticated psychological warfare. It sent a clear, terrifying message to the exhausted Persian soldiers watching from a distance. We are not afraid of you. Men who show no fear of death cannot be intimidated. The hesitation it caused was a weapon in itself, and their advance was just as terrifying as their defense. The Spartans did not charge wildly into the fray. They moved forward slowly, deliberately, step by step, shield locked to shield. They applied relentless, grinding pressure. This slow, inexorable advance had a horrific effect in the narrow pass. The Persian soldiers at the front, desperate to retreat from the wall of spears, found themselves trapped. They were crushed by the sheer weight of their own men pushing forward from behind, who couldn't see the carnage unfolding. The pass became a brutal, inescapable killing corridor, engineered by Spartan discipline. For days, Xerxes threw his best troops at the pass, including his legendary elite guard, the Immortals, and for days they were repelled, their bodies piling up in front of the unyielding Greek line. Failure after failure mounted, and the Persian king grew desperate. It was then that his solution appeared, not on the battlefield, but in the form of a traitor. A local Greek named Ephialtes, hoping for a reward, revealed the existence of a hidden mountain path that would allow the Persians to bypass the main pass and surround the Greek defenders. When Leonidas received word that the Persians were closing in from behind, he understood the devastating truth. The trap was sprung. They were surrounded. Faced with certain annihilation, Leonidas made a decision that would echo through history. He dismissed most of the Greek allies, ordering them to retreat and warn the other city-states. But the 300 Spartans, along with a small force of Thespians and Thebans who chose to remain, would stay. They didn't stay because they hoped to survive. They stayed because a Spartan retreat would shatter the very idea of Sparta. Leonidas and his men knew something that most armies forget. Legends and reputation win future wars long after the battles themselves are lost. Their sacrifice would become a symbol of defiance that would unite Greece. As dawn rose on the final day, the last of the Spartans stepped forward from the pass to meet certain death. They weren't going out as victims, overwhelmed by a superior force. They were going out as a message, written in blood for all of history to read, a message about the price of freedom. And what happened next, in their final stand against the might of an empire, is a story for another time. A year has passed since the heroic stand at Thermopylae. Persia has returned, their army even larger, their confidence absolute. They march into Greece, expecting a swift and brutal victory, certain that the spirit of their enemy was broken along with the 300 Spartans in that narrow pass. But something has changed. The fear that once gripped the heart of Greece is gone. The Persians are about to learn that sacrificing an army is one thing, but killing an idea is something else entirely. This time, there would be no glorious last stand, no poetic sacrifice. This time, there would be a reckoning. The stage is set at the Battle of Plataea. This isn't Thermopylae. There's no narrow pass to funnel the enemy, no geographical advantage to exploit. It's open ground, a vast, flat plain where numbers should reign supreme. The massive Persian army faces the disciplined Spartan-led Greek forces. It's a classic matchup, overwhelming force versus unwavering formation. The Persians, eager and overconfident, charge forward. Their advance is too quick, too disorganized. Their line begins to stretch, thinning out in the middle as the flanks rush ahead. This is the moment the Spartans have been waiting for. They don't waver. They hold their ground, their shields locked, a wall of bronze and muscle. And then, with perfect timing, they strike, not at the flanks, but straight into the weakened, overextended center of the Persian line. The impact is devastating. The Persian formation shatters, the center collapses, and chaos ripples through their ranks. What was once an army becomes a panicked mob. The Persians break and run. The invasion is over. Greece is saved. So, what was the secret? How did they do it? The answer lies in understanding Sparta's true strategy. While other city-states like Athens chased innovation, building new ships and devising clever new tactics, Sparta chased something far more fundamental: perfection. They didn't need the latest technology or the most brilliant new idea. They believed that a simple plan, executed flawlessly, was unstoppable. From the moment a Spartan boy could walk, his life was a relentless drill. Every movement, every step, every shield lock was practiced thousands upon thousands of times until it became pure instinct. Their soldiers were conditioned to hold their position, to trust the man next to them, even while facing certain death. While other armies relied on moments of inspiration or a general's rousing speech, Sparta relied on conditioning. Fear wasn't something to be overcome on the battlefield. It was something that had been beaten out of them long before they ever saw an enemy. Their discipline was their greatest weapon. This wasn't a one-time trick. Fast forward to 418 BC, to the Battle of Mantinea. Here, Sparta isn't fighting a foreign invader. They're facing a powerful coalition of their fellow Greek states, including Argos and Athens. This time, there's no advantage in numbers. There's no advantage in terrain. It's a battle of equals. Greek phalanx against Greek phalanx. The tension is immense. The two armies advance, two giant walls of spears and shields marching toward each other. But the enemy line, made of different contingents, moves unevenly. A small gap, a momentary weakness, opens up in their formation. For any other army, it might have gone unnoticed. For the Spartans, it was everything. They exploited it instantly, driving a wedge into the enemy's core. The result was the same as it was at Plataea. The center broke, the line collapsed, and the battle was over almost as soon as it began. It was a masterclass in timing and discipline, proving once again that how you fight is more important than how many you are. The Spartan way of war was built on three simple, unbreakable rules. First, control the ground, dictate where the battle happens and how it unfolds. Second, break the enemy's morale. Don't just defeat their soldiers, shatter their will to fight. A fleeing army is better than a dead one because it spreads terror. Third, and most importantly, never retreat in disorder. A tactical withdrawal is one thing, but a panicked rout is the end. The Spartans didn't aim to kill every soldier in the opposing army. They aimed to break their belief in victory. They understood that the most powerful weapon in any war is the mind. Once an army believes it cannot win, it is already lost. This psychological edge was the true source of their power. A reputation for invincibility that often won battles before they even started. Sparta was not undefeated. They suffered losses, they made mistakes, and eventually, their power waned. But they were never truly broken. Their enemies might win a battle, but the idea of Sparta, the legend of their discipline, persisted. Empires rose and fell. Great kings and conquerors vanished into the pages of history. But for centuries, the name Sparta remained a synonym for military perfection. It was a name that inspired fear and respect across the ancient world, because once the world learns a fundamental truth, that discipline can defeat numbers, that conditioning can conquer fear, and that a perfect formation can break an empire, nothing is ever the same again. Thanks for watching.